and I have two dime stories that have always stuck with me. One from quite a few years ago, and one that actually happened just recently. So after my grandpa had passed away, we started finding dimes very quickly, and everybody was finding dimes except for me. And I became very frustrated, thinking he had maybe forgotten about me. And in the week of planning the funeral, it was the day of the funeral, and I was starting to get a little bit angry because everybody had been finding them but me. And the morning of the funeral, we were doing some laundry, and I was taking some bed sheets out of the dryer, and I heard something hit the floor, and I instantly shook, and I tossed the bed sheets aside, and there on the floor was a dime staring up at me. I burst into tears, and at that moment I knew Grandpa hadn't forgotten about me. So that story I remember very clearly that day. The second one is a very sweet story. I'm a vice principal here in Regina, and it was on Holy Thursday, the day before we were breaking for Easter break. And it was the end of the day, and kids were coming out to the bus to get on the bus. And I heard a little girl, just a little sweet thing in kindergarten, running towards me with her hand out, saying, Mrs. Zenek, I found something and I don't know who it belongs to. Can you help me find whose it is? And I said, sure. I said, what is it, sweetie? And she opened up her hand, and there was a shiny dime staring up at me. And my grandfather was also a teacher administrator when he was alive and working. And again, in that moment, I knew Grandpa was out doing bus supervision with me, and this little girl happened to be the person he chose to say hello to me. So I'd be lying if I said I didn't keep that dime. I definitely kept that dime because I saw it as a sign from my grandpa that he was with me that day as well.
I was never really the biggest believer in things like these dime stories, but with the frequency that they occur to me, it's pretty hard not to believe in them. It seems like any parking lot I go to, it's like I gravitate towards a dime. I find them in the most unusual places. They can be places that no one's been in 5 or 6 years. It's hard to ignore the amount of dimes that you find, and they're clearly there for a reason. I never find nickels, quarters, loonies. I was hoping to find some $50 bills, but it always seems to be a dime.